Yo, what up folks, CG here. We just got the final full list of Explorer Anthology 3 cards, and I can't say I'm over the moon about it. We're going to have a look at them, see what we've actually got to work with. So let's take a look at the decisions that have come forward here. So, I'm looking at this on MTG Arena Zone, there'll be a link in the description, but these are the cards that we know. So Cyclonocrypt is one of the first ones we got. Fair enough, it's a card that sees kind of fringe play in Pioneer. It's not making a huge impact to the format. Okay. Avatar Keep is one that might surprise a lot of people. It's not so egregious. Like, it has actually started to see a bit of play in these Boros Paradise decks, but that's actually largely so recent that they couldn't have been possibly planned to be part of the anthology, really, which is kind of funny. But it is at least a kind of cool card, so I'm not like super unhappy about it. And that's, I think, one of the things I have to take note of, that there are some really interesting cards here. They're just not the cards we need to bridge the gap to Pioneer, which is what I'd like, what Wizards say their main goal is, and what I think everybody, well, I say everybody, the vocal majority on Twitter and the people who are invested in these sets being geared want. And hey, rightly so in my opinion, people are very, very upset. We then have Shrapnel Blast, which is a really sweet card, but again, not one that sees a ton of play in Explorer. At the minute, we're not really looking at much here, and then we've also got Quarter Calling, which is obviously an amazing card, and sees a decent amount of play in a few different decks, but it isn't really like present in like a tier 1 archetype, at least. So as far as putting all the tier 1 archetype stuff onto Arena to be played in Explorer from Pioneer, a bit of a failure. So let's go on to the next line. We've got Eidolon of Blossoms, we knew about that already. Sylvan Scrying is a really important one, actually. One of the best cards in the set, I guess, in that regard, and that's because it goes right into Lotus Field, and is a really, really powerful card there. We are still missing some very important pieces of Lotus Field. We did get a couple of ones to make it a bit more consistent on Arena, and at least get it to a point where it is somewhat playable. Obviously, we don't have Hidden Strings, we don't have Behold the Beyond, we don't have some of the tutors, some of the other effects to really make the deck powerful. Voyaging Satyr. But it's the point where you could play it, and okay, that's fair enough. You can give some credit here. Then we have Worldspine Worm, which is part of one half of the Xenagos Worldspine Worm combo, which you play in Is It Creativity, the most popular version of the deck in Pioneer. In Explorer, we've had to do some kind of more janky stuff that is still quite good, either going in the Gearhulk plan or going with the Lotus God and the Elemental that draws and discards to make you a bunch of haste tokens. But Worldspine Worm plus Xenagos is kind of the actual best win condition, and so we have those on Arena now. That's great. Awesome. Excellent. Golgari Charm. Golgari Charm's one of the ones that does actually see play. Great. Actually happy to have it here. My one thing here is that we have to talk about that there are 2 cycles in this set, and of those, in those 2 cycles, only like 2 cards out of the 5 are actually playable. And when you've got a set of 25 cards or so, it's just not really. I don't know. I get that you want to print the full cycle, but like, come on, please. And so here we have the rest of the other charms. So Simic Charm, absolutely not. Is It Charm is another one that does see play. And again, like occasionally these things come up as like one-ofs, but Is It Charm is like an actually important one. In the Demi-Lich Phoenix deck that I was showcasing on the channel a couple of weeks ago, Is It Charm's like a 4 of there, and is really, really important. So I think Is It Charm's like a really, really good one to have for that. But it's kind of, we have Golgari Charm, we have Is It Charm, but at the consequence of having like a bunch of other unplayable cards in the set, which is, you know, not super fun. Obsidat, hey, Obsidat's a cool card. It's not seeing any play in Pioneer. Am I going to try and do some stuff with it and explore it? Yes. And that is the one thing, is that like, a bunch of the cards here that aren't like tier archetypes that don't get played a ton in Pioneer are still really, really sweet. I'll probably still try and play with them a little bit. It's not like I'm have nothing I want in the set or anything like that, but it's just a case of the disappointment of not having Treasure Cruise, Dig Through Time, Hidden Strings. So bring to light what is going on. I'm actually super annoyed, super angry about that, but we'll move on. Speaking of angry, Omnath Locus of Rage. Historic Brawl is one of the most popular formats on Arena. And so I understand a little bit, but this is meant to be a product that's trying to bring Explorer in line with Pioneer, and the disappointment's immeasurable. Oars of Charm is one that is actually kind of neat. you can play like All of Humans, that kind of thing, is one of the better charms, but not one that sees play. Like, Is It Charm, Golgari Charm, often played in sideboards. Also Charm is a cool one that could see play, but doesn't really at the moment. Voice Resurgence, great card, has been cropping up in some of these elemental decks, especially with the new Nissa, and was a pretty huge part of the format back when Winota was before Winota got banned. But hey, is another one which is kind of at this point almost fringe. Xenagos got a Revel, we talked about already, alongside Worldspine Worm from earlier. That 2-card combo for its creativity is great, awesome. We've got that on Arena. And then this row of cards is certainly an indictment. We have Deathrite Shaman, which admittedly does see some play in Elves. And then we have some other cards. Judge's Familiar is cute, and if we were having like a remastered set, I'd be super happy to have it in there. But it's not a remastered set, it's 25 cards designed, meant to bridge the gap between Explorer to Pioneer. And so, it's kind of cool, but just, it being a neat card is outweighed far by the fact that we're just missing some really important stuff. And so, hey. A Quarter Shield. I've played some janky Artifact combo decks with like Paradoxical Outcome, and I'm a big fan of them. However, I, as somebody who enjoys that kind of thing, absolutely do not want this to be... This could have been added anywhere. Literally anywhere. I could have just slipped into anything, and we just have a Quarter Shield as part of the Explorer Anthology. And this is probably the most damning thing. The Twitter thread where they spoiled this is just diabolical. I think that it's one for the ages. And then that brings us to Canopy Vista, which is the first of the Battlelands. The Battlelands are cool. Canopy Vista, not one that sees any play. We'll go on and have a look at some of the others here. Cinderglade, not one that sees any play in Pioneer. Actually, sees more play in Modern, funnily enough. Prairie Stream is actually really important because of Laydown Arms is often played in the blue-white control deck in Pioneer. Smoldering Marshal, one that's 0 play, and then Sunken Hollow I've seen in some blue-black control lists, but very, very, very rarely. So, again, we're like, there are like 2 playable cards here, really just 1 in Prairie Stream, and we've taken up 5 slots to add this cycle in. A bit cursed if we're being honest. It's just so much space occupied by nothing. And so, yeah. Again, I'm frustrated. I'll still probably... I'm currently not even sure, actually, if it's worth buying the bundle instead of just crafting the rares you need. Especially if you're only wanting, like... I try and play, like, all the decks, so maybe it is worth me picking up one, because I'm going to want to play with Abac Keep and Cyclonocrypt, and obviously I'm going to play with Cordo. I have, like, 10 videos on Elves, and I'll play enough, but, like... For example, Worldspine Worm and Xenagos, you only want 1 copy of anyway, just like 2 Mythic Wildcards. So, I don't know. I haven't done the maths on it, but it could even be cheaper. It might just not be worth buying the bundle at all. Which is a very valid stance, I think. The last thing I have to talk about is Thespian Stage, which is a great addition to the format. It's a really, really sweet land. It's an important part of Lotus Field. It actually brings the blue-white version of the Lotus Field deck pretty much up to par. I think there was something else potentially missing there. But it's a really, really important step there. And it's also good for the normal version if we can get something working. I'm not 100% sure what that'll look like. I'm hoping to do a video on blue-white field before and after. And then I've kind of been putting it off for a while because I don't love the deck personally. But I'm going to try and get that done. And then there's a ton, in spite of this being a colossal disappointment, if we're being honest. There is some cool stuff here, and I'll certainly have a bunch of decks coming out. I might go back to daily uploading for a little bit. We'll see how that goes. I've just been so busy. So busy. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to try to give a bit of an overview of what's going on, where it's going to get played, and just the... Just search like Explorer Anthology 3 on Twitter and see what the people are saying. It's... I don't know. This is rough. We'll have to do some kind of State of the Union, State of Explorer update at some point, but hey, hopefully they announce a remaster set soon, otherwise the people will riot. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please do like, subscribe. In spite of this, I as somebody who makes almost exclusively Explorer content, I'm still going to keep making videos. I still have a lot of hopes for the format. some of the stuff like Day Through Time Treasure Cruise, maybe they're gonna get maybe they're not sure if they want to ban them or not. I don't know. Uh, I'm still kind of emotional about this, and I'm just super unhappy. At least we got something, basically. But yeah, anyway, please like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you with some decks soon.